Hi, I'm Jenny Selman. I'm a middle distance runner for Fife AC. I live in Edinburgh at the moment. And I guess I got into running in kind of like the typical way that a lot of runners do. Started with my local athletics club when I was probably under 13. I was a really energetic child. I think my mum and dad were looking for ways to burn off some of my energy, so my mum was friends with the women who took the kids group at the local athletics club in St Andrews, so took me along there pretty much as soon as I was old enough, and yeah, just kind of got involved from there. Like obviously for a long time it was very casual and relaxed, and I dabbled in all the different events, did a bit of sprinting, a bit of long jump, just going along to leads and sort of doing a bit of everything. And then it wasn't until probably my later teens that I started to take it a bit more seriously and get a bit better. Because for a long time I really enjoyed running, but probably wasn't very good at it. I just had friends at the athletics club, and just really enjoyed going along on a Tuesday night.
Definitely, and you had a very successful year last year as well, winning the British 800 metre indoor champs, representing Scotland at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, and getting your first GB vest for the World Indoor Championships. Can you just talk us through kind of that whole experience and what all that was like?
Yeah, so I guess in 2021, so a year before that, I made a little bit of a breakthrough. I'd run a high 2:1 by the end of the season, so I guess that winter the commies and the World Indoor times were sort of in the back of my mind, and I still kind of thought it would be a long shot, I might not be able to get the time, and even if I did, there's obviously so many incredible middle distance women in Scotland, so yeah, I knew it would be a massive long shot to actually make the squad, but things just kind of all fell into place from the start of the indoor season. I ran the qualifying time for commies and World Indoors, I think in February, won the British Indoor Champs, and then from there it just kind of just all went well, didn't have any injuries, so yeah, it was a great year. I was delighted to make both teams.
No, definitely. And you had a pretty successful career as a junior as well, getting medals at Bucks and Nationals. You had a PB of 2:03 back in 2014. And performance-wise, as you've mentioned, it kind of stepped back a wee bit for a few years. Was there anything in terms of injuries that you had to deal with? And if so, how did you manage to deal with it?
Yeah, so after running my PB in 2014, I just had a long period where I had a lot of injuries. I think probably looking back, I maybe pushed through injuries as a young athlete that kind of had a bit of a knock-on effect. So I kind of went through a bit of a cycle of getting injured, then getting back fit, then getting injured again, then trying to get back fit. And I think when you do that for a number of years and you don't have any consistency, it really starts to take its toll. And so, after a few years I was running pretty slowly. I was still going along to training and going through the motions, but not really actually achieving anything. And then after a while I guess it became quite miserable, and I realised that I needed to change up my training if I wanted to keep running, even just for enjoyment. So I started doing a lot more endurance work. I mean, I say endurance work, endurance work for an 800 metre runner. But previously I think I just relied a lot on my speed, and that had really not been great for my injury problems. So I started doing a lot more endurance, jumping in with some of the girls in Edinburgh that were doing kind of longer cross-country sessions, built up my fitness, and actually doing that longer stuff seemed to be a lot better for my injuries. So I guess I just managed to string together a long period of consistent training, and that's probably what made a big difference for me.
Definitely.
Also jumping in with the girls, at the start of 2021 my coach took on a middle distance group in Edinburgh.
Okay.
So girls like Sarah, Naomi Lang, Becca Johnson, Neve Carr. So yeah, it just made training a lot more enjoyable, and I think that's the big part of it.
Definitely makes sense. And then most people who are involved in Scottish athletics will have heard of the name the Selmans as well. How beneficial is it kind of being in a relationship with somebody who also knows like the struggles and the highs and lows and all the sacrifices that you have to make to be an athlete sort of at the highest level?
Yeah, so my husband Doug, he's a runner. He obviously he's training for like a very different event to me. Like he did an ultra marathon at the start of the year, and he's going to be doing like a half marathon and a marathon later this year. So our training doesn't really coincide, other than occasionally like an easy run together. But yeah, it's definitely beneficial having somebody who just kind of like understands what goes into training at this level, and I like to think we're both pretty supportive of like each other's different goals. We also have the same coach as well, so yeah, like that's probably helpful as well.
Definitely, and kind of as you mentioned already as well, in 2021 you had your kind of big breakthrough PB of 2:01 as well. What was the sort of main thing that kind of led to that increase in performance, and are you still sort of carrying through that momentum through this year?
So yeah, I think it was probably just like a combination of consistent training, having a really good group to train with for the first time in a while, and I think like also when you start a season well and have a few positive results, like positivity almost kind of breeds positivity. Like I was going into races maybe expecting a bit more of myself than I had done in previous years, where I'd sort of turned up to races not really in great shape, not really expecting much, and then like surprise, not really running that well. So yeah, I think it was probably just a combination of those different factors. That kind of rolled into last year, and then this year has been a bit up and down. I've like struggled a little bit with a few injury issues and health issues that have kind of meant that it's been a bit underwhelming. But yeah, hoping that once I've got those things sorted, I'll be able to kind of carry the momentum on.
Definitely. And just last question, so what's a typical training week look like for you at the moment? Are you a full-time athlete? And what does that look like?
So I'm part-time working at the moment, which gives me like a lot more flexibility. And time for training and recovery and like travelling to races and stuff like that. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier to fit sort of the weekly scheduling. So at the moment I'm not doing anything fancy. Like it's Monday gym, easy running. Tuesday generally like a track session. Wednesday gym again, more easy running. Thursday will generally be like a top-up tempo type of thing. Always take Friday off. Saturday, another session. At this time of year it'll be on the track, but sometimes it'll be like a hill session, or in the winter like a grass session, and then Sunday long run. So pretty
got a
standard.
lot on your plate. Perfect, thanks so much for all that.
No worries.
Yes. Going in off of one track.
I was thinking like,
So like
One set done.
Two sets done, how are we all feeling?
Alright.
Feeling the burn?
It's feeling significantly harder than I thought it was going to be. And that was definitely my own doing. It doesn't feel too bad, but I think like we were sort of telling ourselves at the start of the session they'd be like nice and comfy and controlled.
Relaxed.
But I think when you tell yourself that, it's always going to be a bit disappointing.
Yeah, and then I think because I had that in my mind, my first set was all too slow. And then I've like tried to pick it up, so then the difference between set 1 and set 2 feels quite extreme.
But it's fine, we've just got one more set, and really it's only the
600.
the six
Yeah, that's true.
and kind of the 3 that are the hard part. Like the 150 doesn't really count.
Last reps for free.
Yeah, I feel like you can always get that done. Session, guys.
So, hi, I'm Hannah. I run for Kilbride, but also Edinburgh Uni. I used to probably say I was a cross-country runner, and if you stalked my Power of 10, I feel like I used to run the best at cross-country. But I'm lying to myself, and I'm gaslighting myself into being a middle distance runner, because track's more enjoyable. I think I actually I used to be a footballer and a basketball player, which is very rogue, and not a lot of people know that. and I used to play all through primary, and then I kind of soon realised that the only good thing I was capable of doing was the running bit. And then my primary school started a run club where we ran 5k once a week, so that's how I started running when I was about 11. And I used to live abroad actually, so moved to Scotland when I was like 12, joined Kilbride, have been there since.
Where did you move from to?
Jordan in the Middle East,
Oh, no way.
which is quite cool. My dad's work, he had us like moving around quite a lot, so I lived in Jordan, I lived abroad basically the first 12 years, moving around every couple of years, and then came to Scotland. My dad's originally from Kilbride, so joined, literally just emailed them and a couple of other clubs, and Kilbride was the only one that got back to us, so it's worked out well. And here we are.
Filming a video for Strength.
Exactly.
Yeah, how's your season been going so far? You've got some 800 and 1500 PBs
Yes.
and made it to the Bucks final. Must be pretty happy with all that.
I know, it's been fun. I feel like there's been a couple of changes this season. I've joined Lewis Walker, so it's been very fun training with Jenny and Sarah. That's kind of been as of only the last month, so it's still quite new, and I feel like I'm kind of settling into things still. I was actually came off a really good, feel like indoors cross. I was trying to fit it all in.
Yeah.
Like the month of February I did Armagh 3k, Bucks 8k, then British Indoors 15 back to back, because I was just so happy to do it all. So I kind of wanted to come into the track with a bit more of a specific aim. Then I actually got shin splints right before Bucks, and was quite silly and just ran through it. Don't recommend. So that was, if you see any photos, my shins are both heavily ticked up. So that was a bit rocky start to the season. I'd say I ended up having to take 2 weeks off, and then it was just a slow comeback really. My parents live abroad right now in Uzbekistan, so I did a warm weather training camp, tried to get the head down, just get some endurance back, that sort of vibe. So didn't really know what to expect of this season. Did a couple of 800s, very fun, very humbling. I hadn't done one in 4 years. So I think my first one was the June miler meet, and honestly, someone watched me run and they were like, I've never seen anyone look so uncomfortable in the first 100 of a race. And I was like, is that a compliment? I can't tell. But no, it's been really fun. I feel like I kind of raced for a month, been settling into this group for a month, and now trying to bash out the last few races. But I feel like end of season is hitting hard.
Need a break sometimes.
Exactly, but it's nationals this weekend, so that's fun always. It's actually, I've only ever once done the 15 at nationals, funnily enough. Last year I did the 5k, hence cross country background. So I'm kind of excited to see how that goes. Obviously Sarah's in the race, probably about 10 seconds quicker than everyone else. Inside knowledge, gonna say she's probably favourite to win. So no, it should be just a fun weekend. Then hopefully a monument mile.
Yes. Speaking of monument mile, you had an amazing race there last year.
Thank you.
In the women's elite race.
B race.
Oh, was it?
That's alright. No hard feelings, mate.
But just how much did you enjoy doing that, and are you looking forward to racing there again this year? Is that the plan?
So much fun. Again, kind of came off. Monument Mile was my first race last season, because obviously it was vice versa. So it was the end of May, and I'd gone home for a month. I often try to go home at the start of summer, so A, it's not too hot, but B, I can come back and kind of race majority of races. So I chose to miss Bucks and stuff last year, focus on training, and then really just didn't know what to expect. And it was a very slow race, and then I was just feeling really good. And so I just kind of sit and kick, absolute classic, and I got some really cool drone footage from it, so I would recommend. Shout out to Michael Wright for that one. But no, it's a really cool event. I feel like there's not a lot of races. Kind of the stride athletics, fast and fast, flat and fast, one as well. I think it's just really fun because we often say like half of Scottish people travel down to like England at least once every couple of weeks. When there's like, then you get to Trafford, you're stood on the start line with like 10 other Scottish people and you think, why aren't we just doing this? So I feel like races like Monument Mile, especially this year when they seem to be pulling in a lot of international people, I think will be quite a good one.
That's our plan, that's like what we're kind of trying to facilitate.
Exactly.
But, yeah, on the university front as well, you're a member of the infamous Edinburgh Uni Hares and Hounds.
Indeed.
But yeah, what was it? Was that like one of your main reasons for choosing Edinburgh Uni? Was because of like that running setup?
Yeah,
and
for
how
sure.
much you enjoyed just being part of that with like such a strong group of girls as well?
Definitely the group played a big factor. I think Edinburgh kind of hits a sweet spot because academically I do still want to like prioritise studying and things.
Yeah.
So it's come to such a good uni, and then it's just like an additional plus to have such a good training group. But no, for sure, I feel like Scotland's so small as well that I knew all the girls at Edinburgh Uni, so I was like, well, I must go to Edinburgh Uni. And back in East Kilbride, it's not a very big girls group. I was kind of the only girl running at one point.
Yeah.
And I've got a twin brother.
Okay.
And Hamish used to pace me,
Yeah.
or I'd kind of be dropped by him more so, especially by the end. And the senior men are incredible, but there's only so much you can do when you're like miles off the back.
Okay, yeah.
So to me, to like go from training solo with just my brother, especially after lockdown, to come to uni, I was in a group of like 10 girls. I was like, this is literally incredible.
Yeah.
And no, it's just like when you're all in it together, it makes it so easy when you're like, we often like go to the library and study, and then we're like, right, training at 6, like let's go get a snack, like I'll see you in an hour, like you're all living the same life. So it makes it exactly. And I feel like everyone knows when you're like at school, if you've got like non-sporty friends as well, say it's a Friday night, we're all racing the Saturday, if all your pals are like, come on, let's go out, it's quite difficult to like be like, oh guys, like come on. When if you're all in the same position, you can just find so many other things to like do together.
Definitely.
So no, it's a big motivation, I hope.
Yeah, especially in terms of training with like Jenny and Sarah, Alice, all those people, and like how much you enjoy just being part of that group as well.
I mean,
like, is it challenging mentally to not just kind of turn every session into a bit of a race as well?
I think I'm a bit too far behind for it to be too competitive, but it is crazy. Like even looking at Euros, when we had 4 people from Edinburgh Uni, when you count Alison Bell and Megan Keith. But when you're like training with elite people, like when I rock up to training with like a 2-minute and a 2:02 800 metre runner, I think not a lot of people can do this. And this is just my like local club, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. Good opportunities.
And especially, I actually live with Alice, so it's just so much fun. Like I think what I really love is that I think we've all found the right balance. Like I don't think, you obviously have to take it seriously to an extent, but it's nice to like, it's not like we're all racing each other like in the warm-ups and cool-downs or like, I think it's, especially Jenny and Sarah help each other a lot. So I feel like, I'm sure you'll see in the video, when they take turns in the reps, like none of that is like competitive at all.
Okay, yeah, it's like pushing each other.
Exactly, and even for me, I feel like I'm quite good at just trying to aim for my own paces, and I think that does come from I've ran a lot by myself in the past, but it is just the motivation.
Your own pacemaker.
Exactly, who needs someone else, guys? Just do it by yourself.
No, definitely, but yeah, and just talking about your season as well, you're saying maybe coming to an end just now.
Yeah.
Just final question, what are your plans just for the rest of the season leading into cross?
I think definitely have a little bit of a break, settle down, and I think we're going to try doing indoor season for the first time properly. So I'll do the cross relays, the Liverpool mile, just get attacked by dogs, and then swap into indoor, which will be a very new experience, but I'm quite excited to try something new, something different, get away from the cold and wet and miserable cross. I think 8k was a bit too far.
To get away.
Literally.
Good stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you.